So far, what we have seen is we have seen what is Streamlit, how to set up Streamlit on our local machine on VS Code, and we have also seen some of the components which can help us to build UI with the help of Streamlit library. Now, if you think from what we have done so far, earlier we have uh, created couple of lang chains, the chains in the lang chain. So we were able to create some chains in the lang chain, and we were invoking those chains with the help of chain.invoke method. Now just think from an application perspective, we have uh, that backend already ready. We have that particular piece of code which is already there. Now we want some UI on top of it. So if you want to take the user message from the UI, and then we need to send it to the our large language model framework or whatever code framework with the help of LangChain we have created. What we need at the UI end is we need some text input, right? Some field in the form of text where the user can actually provide his input. And since this is what we are going to create, right? We are going to create some chat assistants or some chatbot kind of applications. So we should have couple of more components which can help us to build those kind of chat based applications quickly and very easily. So that's where these chat components are very important, which have been released by Streamlit. So our applications will have like user message and then the response from the AI. So user message, AI response, user message, AI response. So a stack of messages will be shown on the screen. So st.write will not be enough, right? Because if you want to give it a flavor of some conversational chat, then we have to also show some icon for the user and other icon for the AI. So that's where these two components are very, very important from the GenAI perspective. So let's go through these two components. Okay. And okay, even before that, if you try to visualize the end-to-end process, we need something. We need, in order to create any LLM based application, we need something to take user input. I will do it quickly. And we need something, we need to we also we need to send that input to LLM. We need to store that in some memory. Earlier we talked about memory with the help of list, but that will not work here. I will also tell you why. So we need to store that in memory. We need to show response to user, response from LLM. We need to show response from LLM to user on screen or application, and we also need to store that in memory. Super. So this is the overall framework which we are trying to develop. Super. Now another thing is, let's say what we are doing is we are using something like st dot. Let me show you quickly. So let's say I have imported this Streamlit as st, and I have created this chat input. Okay. So I will, let me first explain you those two components which are at most necessary. The first component is the chat message. The chat message is used to display a message in the chat interface. Whatever interface we are creating, if we need to display any message, that can be from user or that can be from AI, but we are going to use this st.chat message component. The other component is to take the input, right? That is chat underscore input. So this chat underscore input will fulfill my this requirement which I just noted down. And this second is chat message will be basically to, we need to show the user, right? So this is something which will be useful for displaying the my messages on the screen. Okay, and then we need to store that in memory. For that we'll be using session state. Session state. Super. So before that, let's see the issue with the Streamlit. So I have imported Streamlit as st user input. As I said, is used to take the input from user. So when I run this, let me cut this cut this piece of lines and let me run this application. Streamlit run app.py. So what happened? You can see there is a text box. So when I use st.chat input and I write anything like ask me anything, what it will do is it will create one chat box and it will have some fainted text like ask me anything. So this is what we needed, right? We said we need something to take our input. So this is exactly what we need. So my question is like maybe hi, but nothing will happen because I have no statement to display it. But my at least I have accomplished something. Super. Now what? Now let me paste that back. Now let's say my response. So I'm not going to integrate my large language model as of now. So in order to mimic response from LLM, I am simply putting one F string. You asked, I am just echoing this user input, and then I'm using my second component, which is chat message, to show the chat messages on my chat interface. So this is chat underscore message, and it will take an input as a user, whether you are this message has to be shown as a user or as a AI, right? So there are a couple of options. If I hover on it, it can say the name user, assistant, AI. So they both are same, and user and human are same, right? So if the message is user, then I have to use the user argument, and what it will do is it will create some, I will show you, and then mark down user input. So whatever user input I will put, whatever input I give to this particular markdown, it will put it in a markdown format. So this is the format basically. All right, so other than that, let me remove this one and let me rerun. So it says none. Okay, so now I will write something like hello. So it shows me the hello. When I say how are you, my earlier message got deleted, erased, and I can just see how are you, my latest message, because we are not storing, right? So that is our one more problem which we need to solve. We need to store all these things. And what else? What else you will observe is, let me click. I have created one button. Okay, so if I click that, if I rerun my application, I say hello, my first message. If I click enter, okay, so whenever I need to send this message to the application, either I can click here or maybe I can press enter. So I can see hello, my first message. So I have done this thing. Okay, now there is another button which is like send button. So when I click on that, it will say button clicked. So when I click that, you can see the button clicked, but you have also noticed that my message which was shown on the interface has gone. So this is now none. The value is has been erased. So that's what the problem is. Whenever you do anything on the UI, right, you click something or you change something, what happens is Streamlit basically rerun that entire page from top to bottom. Okay, so whatever I did earlier, whatever variables I initialized earlier, they get erased, and this will result into something like that. We will talk more about this problem in uh, after a few videos, but for the time being, you can see this is the another problem. So what I need to do is should have something where I can store my variables, store my values, and they don't get erased if I'm taking any action like that. Okay, so if I click hello, my this action was erased, right? The output from the send is erased. When I click this one, this get erased because this is rerunning the application. So I need something where I can store my values uh, technically saying I need something to store and persist my variables and values. Superb. So this is my problem statement. All these things we are trying to solve now with the help of these two components and session state. All right. So let me erase this now. I think I have set the background and foundation. Let me quickly put some code so that we can complete this quickly. Now what I am doing is I am saying if message is not in session, so this is that session state which I was talking about. So I'm imported my Streamlit and now I'm checking if message is not in session state. If this message is object is not there in session state, then what I'm doing is I am just creating one empty list. Fair enough. Simple. Second is for message in st.session state. If there are any messages, let's say right now we are initializing, but let's say there are couple of messages in it. What I'm doing is if that message has a role of user, then I'm using my chat message st.chat message user markdown content. So you have seen whenever we are sending the messages or creating the messages for our interaction with the LLM, we always have role and we always have content. Role is like user, human, AI, assistant, but the content can be anything, right? So what I'm doing is I'm checking if the first element of my messages list has a role as a user, then I will show that message as a user and then mark down message, whatever content is there. So this is my first dictionary. This is my dictionary in my first message. I have a list of messages. I have taken the first message. I'm using the for loop. In the first message, there will be a dictionary. That dictionary will have keys like role and message, role and content. So the value of the first value of the role is if user, then I'm displaying the value of the content. Easy. Else st dot message chat message is AI and then content. Okay, let me run that. This is user input. Okay, so if I run that now, rerun, there's nothing, right? Because right now this is empty. Okay, since my messages in my session state is empty, there is nothing to display because I'm just displaying the messages from this particular for loop. Super. Now, but I have defined user input, which is like st.chat input, type your message here. So what I can do is if I write a message like hi, again nothing will happen. Because why? Because I am not appending this user input, right? I am not appending this to my messages list. So what I need to do is I need to put some code. So let me bring that code. This is my code. So what I am doing is I have prompted user to put some input. If he clicks enter, that input will be captured in user input. And now I am checking with the if condition. If there is some user input and that user input is not empty or space, then what I'm doing is again I'm using the chat message. So this is my first component, chat underscore input to take user input, and the second component is chat underscore message to display the messages on the interface. So for user messages, what I will do is I will take the user input and then use this user role, and then I'm showing that particular message. Okay, and secondly, I'm storing that message to my memory, okay, to my session state. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm appending that role and content to my messages. So this is my first element of session state, messages. And then let's say my bot response is like echo user input, whatever user input I will say, it will append echo. And then that I'm treating, or creating a fake response from the bot, and that bot message is also shown on the user interface. and also storing that value into my session state in the messages. So now I have two messages in my session state. Superb. So all I need to do is rerun my first message. What will happen if I click enter? It has the response was created as echo my first message, and both are now saved into my session state. Now if I put like second message, what will happen? This will also get appended to my memory, and now I can see the list of all the messages, and this is exactly what we were trying to achieve. Okay, so we will keep on improving this application, right? So but this is the basic idea, that Streamlit provides these two components, which are like chat input and chat message, which are very important for creating these conversational AI chat applications and interfaces. And this is exactly how we need to use it. If you have any questions, feel free to write down or put those questions in the comments, and see you in the next lecture.